Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesdays with me, Valentina Vee. Let me know how my audio levels are. Let me know how my video levels are. I'm like rocking a boho vibe today. I have my little candle. Maybe I should scooch it more into frame. It says cozy on it. And today we are talking about all about how to edit reaction videos. Now, in essence, this live stream is just one giant reaction video. So I'm going to show you how to make something like this, but a little bit more punched up. Now I recorded a reaction video to an old video of mine, which I will be editing a reaction video to an old video of mine, which is several levels of meta. But before I start, I want to know, how's everyone doing today? Is everyone feeling good? Is everyone feeling happy and psyched? We have 70 people watching right now on Behance. Sorry, my contact lens just like slid off my eye. It's all good. It's back now. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and jump on over to Adobe Live over on Behance, because that is where I'll be reading the chat. And I forgot what I was going to say. That's okay. We're just going to wait for the people to show up. How are y'all doing? Paco's feeling awesome. Tim says, so you can say the stream is on fire because of the candle. I mean, the stream is on fire always because I'm here, but the candle helps. I feel like the Behance ecosystem has been heavy on the illustration, on the graphic side, on the Photoshop side. So I'm happy to be bringing more video based content, and video is a little bit harder to do, I feel like, as far as like live streaming it. So we'll see. There's a lot of me talking because I'm talking, but I'm also editing a video of me talking. You get it. So let's pop over to Premiere and I'll show you what's going on here on my computer. You should be able to see my little mouse there, my little drawing tool. Okie dokie. So essentially in my files, what I have are just a couple of files. So here I have my Finder on Mac, File Explorer on Windows. I'm on a Windows PC. I have my folder here. It's called Valentina 12. It's my 12th giant hard drive. And every single project that I've done so far has been named with the date, and then underscore what it is. So we are on reaction video, and I have my folders here for footage, audio, graphics, etc. Now, if you feel like I've gone over this before, then I'm sorry. I feel like there's new people, so I always like to sort of go over my organization at the top, just so that people aren't lost. So in my footage folder, I have only two files really. I have the file that is my screen recording off of what my screen was. I used OBS, which is a free program that can record your screen. I'm also using OBS to send this video out to you from my nice camera. And then I have the actual clip here, which is from my nice camera directly from the camera feed. I also have audio here, which is a separate little clip, and that is what was recorded separately on my microphone, because right now you can hear me. It's like crisp, clean. It's ASMR. It's really nice, right? Whereas the actual camera audio is nonsense. And that's it. That's all I have. So I have two clips there. I do have this folder called proxies. So I created a proxy because I'm doing a live stream, 4K video with this high quality. It's going to just like, it's going to interrupt my live stream. So I made a proxy version of my high quality video clip, which is still a 4K proxy, but in this way I can play it back really easily, and I don't have to worry about like any stuttering or any CPU usage, my computer chomping up all of its power. And you can see if I double click and I pull it up, this is what it looks like. It's still pretty high quality, even though it is a proxy. Proxy is just a low resolution version. Take one. Testing. Okay, levels are good. And levels are good. You can see that I'm talking about that the levels on my recorder are good and the levels on my camera, at least they're recording something. So I can use that as reference audio for then, syncing in post. So what I'm going to do is I have an empty Premiere project here. I'm going to start by making some bins down here. So bins are kind of like folders inside of Premiere, and they are independent of the folders on your computer. So I'm going to start a bin. I'm going to call it O1 footage, maybe another bin that's called O2 audio, another bin that's called O3 sequences, and then a last bin I'm going to do, and it's going to be called merged clips. This is where my compound clips will go, my clips that are with the nice audio and the nice video together. So here in footage, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up my footage, these two clips right here, and I'm going to drop them into footage. Then in audio, I'm just going to drop my audio clip. And that's it. We're ready to get started. Here in footage, I have obviously the really high quality 4K version. And then this is my screen recording from my screen. I start my screen recording with a little bit of me. So you can see me clap in the actual video so that I can line up those claps. Because at the beginning, when I'm talking here, this is the screen recording portion on the left here. Don't mind that. This is the screen recording. I also screen recorded myself. So I sent my video feed, just like I'm doing now, through OBS so that I could record myself at the beginning. You don't hear anything because I specifically wanted the audio for the screen recording to only come.
Let's get going.
From
Hi, my name is Val.
I wanted the audio to only come from the actual computer. So when you play the screen recording, you can hear that right now it's playing, but it's paused. And at this moment, I was talking. And then when it's actually going to play again, then it plays the audio.
Success, the likelihood of whether that couple will be happily married or miserable and divorced. What is his secret? How does he do it? He says the key to relationship success does not lie in candlelight dinners.
And then this is where I pause the video to talk about it, right? So I like having those feeds separate because sometimes I'll talk over the video and I'll want to lower the audio levels of the video and increase my audio levels. Or sometimes I'll have like a stupid comment to say, and I don't want that in the final video. So I'm going to take that lower and have the final video play on top of it. So it's kind of like I want to separate those audio feeds so that I can have the most to play with. So first of all, I have this clip. Let's open it up in list view down here. So right now let's open up in icon view. Right now we're in list view. So we have these two icons. This one right here, this one is just the video feed. And like I said, it's really high quality. I did create a proxy inside of Media Encoder, which is just a lower resolution version. Not even lower resolution, it's a lower bitrate version. So it's still a 4K clip. It's still 3840 by 2160. It's just lower bitrate. So I'm going to attach that proxy now. Tim asks, what's the bitrate of the OBS recording? I'm not sure what the bitrate of the OBS recording is, but I will say that the frame rate is different, which is something that I'm about to talk about right now. But first, let's just attach this proxy. So I have this file right here. I'm going to right click on it and then go to proxy. And instead of create proxies, this is how I created the proxy earlier, but I didn't want to waste time on the live stream creating the proxy. So I already created it. I'm just going to go to attach proxies. And then I'm going to go to, it already recognizes where it would be, but I'm just going to say attach. And then it's like, oh, is it in the proxy folder? Yes. Did I label it proxy? Yes. Okay. Great. So now I can toggle the proxy on and off by using this button right here. So when it is enabled, I have my proxy on. And when it is disabled, I have my actual video clip on. You can't really tell the difference, to be quite honest. Oh, that is a zoom. That is a zoom. Let's see. So this is without the proxy. This is with the proxy. Without the proxy, with the proxy. I mean, barely. You can barely tell the difference in quality there. But for me, for editing, it's going to be so much faster when I speed it up. Without the proxy, with the proxy. Just a little bit more pixelated. It's totally fine. So I'm just going to go back to fit. All right, so let's take a look at our other clip, our screen recording here. So this one is our clip from the camera. This one is our screen recording. Notice something is off. So my screen recording was going at 30 frames per second, but the frame rate for my camera was at 23.976 frames per second. So when choosing the frame rate for my sequence, I'm going to choose the one that is lower. That way, this one, it just means I have a few extra frames. I have about I have about 6 extra frames every second. And that's okay, because those frames are extra. They're going to be hidden. I don't have to worry about them. If I made my my sequence 30 frames per second, okay, then this would play smoothly, but then this one would be choppy because I would be missing an extra 6 frames per second. So there would be a little bit of choppiness, a little bit of gaps. So that's why I'm going to make my sequence 23.976 frames per second. I'm also going to, when you're making a reaction video, you want to play it for comedy. You want to be able to punch in, punch out, do some sort of effects to it. So I'm going to make my sequence HD size. Not only is that plenty good for uploading to YouTube or Instagram or something like that, but it's also just like, it gives you more latitude when you're recording a video that is 4K, when your original footage is 4K. Not only that, but my screen recording, I believe, was HD. I wonder if there's a way to check it. Of course there is. I'm just going to expand this window by pressing the tilde key on the top left of my keyboard while having the window selected. And I can see more video information here. And right away, yes, I can see that it tells me the video info over here. I'll actually drag this column over next to frame rate so I can see the difference. So, and actually let me label the clip that is the screen recording a different color. I'm going to right click, go to label, and change it to mango. Yes. So my camera clip is this one and my screen recording is this one. And I can go ahead and see that with the 24 frames per second frame rate, 23.976, it is a 4K clip. With the 30 frames per second, it is an HD clip. So I'm going to be making a sequence that is both the lowest number of frames per second and the lowest size, so that the 4K clip can always fit into the 1080 size and the 30 frame per second clip can always fit into the 23.976 frames per second. So I'm basically giving myself as much latitude as possible. So let's do that. Let's go into our sequences bin. I mean, currently there's nothing in there. If I double click, there's nothing in our sequences bin. Let's create a new sequence. I'm going to go to the new item. I'm going to go to sequence. And sure enough, the very first preset that Premiere has is the preset that I want. It is the 1080 23.976. That's exactly what I want. Let's go over to settings just to check it. Now, you don't have to worry about editing mode. And then it says RE Cinema. That's just what the preset is called. It's fine. All you have to worry about is the time base, which is the one that we want, 23.976, the frame size, and the fact that it says square pixels. We're Gucci. We're Gucci. We're Prada. I'm going to rename the sequence. I'm going to say 01 because I want it to be in alphabetical order. So having 01 in front of it helps me like organize it. And then I'm going to say reaction assembly. This is where I will assemble all my clips before I cut them. And I'll go back to the project, go back to footage, and actually I'll go back to project here and I'll open up the footage and the audio in my list view. That way I can select both of them at the same time. And I happen to know that the audio here and this clip here, they both have audio from me talking the entire time through. So that way I don't have to use the clap to synchronize. I don't have to use the peak in the waveform. I can do it automatically. If I wasn't doing it automatically and I just brought it into my project, so if I just dragged it into here and then dragged this into here, expand that, you can see where it would line up. Let me close this. Don't need this for now. You can see where it would line up, right? You can see that it would, okay, there's this, and then there's this. So those two would line up. I got to move it back. You can even see, because I did that clap here, this peak right here is very obvious. So, I mean, when you're only lining up one clip with another clip, you can just do it manually, just like this. So you can be like, okay, well, this is almost lined up. They're just slightly off. Let me move it one frame to the right by going to command, hold on, selecting it, going Alt, and then to the right, Alt right arrow. Ooh, that's not exactly lined up. Let's go Alt left arrow. That's not exactly lined up. Alt left arrow. Oh, it never lines up properly. That's weird. Wonder why? Well, because it's in frames, right? We can change the time base though. So instead of using frames here, we'll go to right click around this area. We'll right click and go to show audio time units instead. And now we can zoom in to this timeline even more. So I'm holding down Alt and I'm just on my mouse, I'm going on the scroll wheel to zoom in even more. And now we can really finely adjust everything down to like the sound wave. There we go. So now those are on the same level. But that takes a long time. And we have to change it to audio time units. But I mean, it sounds good in the end. You know, let me mute this track. So the audio track that comes with the video, I'm gonna mute it and then listen to just the microphone audio. I shot in my house on, oh, it's right here in the program window, on like a fold out table that I have with a like cream colored seamless back compared to the audio from the video. Like a fold out table that I have with a like cream colored seamless backdrop. So obviously it's a lot better, but it's just so long. It takes so long. So let me undo that, redo, delete. Let's do it faster. You just have to select the two clips by holding down Command and selecting both of them. Right click and then go to merge clips. That's it. So you go to merge clips, this window pops up. It asks you, what do you want your new merged clip to be named? I'll just keep it at its default suggestion, which is the name of the clip and then the word merged. I'll make sure that the synchronized point is the audio. This is what's important because this is what tells the program, I want you to literally look at the waveforms and then match the waveforms together. So, and then it asks, do you want to remove the audio from the AV clip? Which means, do you want to just like remove the audio from the clip and just leave the nice audio? And I'm going to say, heck yeah, I do. And then, okay. And then it's going to do that automatically. While in visuals asks, how was that long? Well, it's long if you have a lot of clips, right? If you have to do this many, many times, like 20, 30 times, that's how it's long. Obviously, what I was doing was not that long. This should be going faster too. I don't know why it's going so slow. Rick Adams is asking Tim a question. I'm like, I don't know anything about that. Okay, so we have this merged clip and it has now appeared just in our general bins and it's right here, but I've already made a bin for merged clips. So I can go ahead and just grab it and move it into merged clips. So now it's a little bit more organized. I love being organized. And we can just literally take it and drag it into our timeline. And not only is it already lined up for us, but the audio tracks from the video are already gone. So I can just play it straight.
And it took a while to melt the candles down. I remember I was like sitting there like, how long do candles melt? And
so that's great. We have a few issues though. Number one issue is that it's really zoomed in, right? Because this is a 4K clip. And the number two issue is that we're going to be putting this on top of our video file, our screen recording, just like you see me in the picture in picture right now on top of my desktop. We're going to do the same thing. So a couple of different things we can do. First of all, let's resize this appropriately. If you want to see the edges of it, you just go over here to fit. So to change the size of it, let's go to like 10%. And then let's go over to effect controls and select the word motion. And once you select the word motion, you can see the bounding box around the clip. And you can see that this is how big the clip is versus this is how big the sequence is. So we're going to go to over here, over to scale and change it from 100 to 50. So now it's scaled properly. Or we don't even have to do any of that. So I'll undo. You just have the clip selected, right click on it, and then go to set to frame size. And it does that for you. Or you don't have to even do that because you can just make a shortcut. And I have a shortcut, Shift Command F, that does it for me. This is also really good for later when we are cutting things around. We're putting me in the top left, bottom right, or whatever. And we got to maybe like go back to the regular frame size for something. Then you just use a shortcut and we pop back to the regular frame size. The other issue, I told you there's two issues. The other issue is it's on track V1, but we want it on track V2. The really easy way to do that is just to hold Alt and then go up, the up arrow. And there we go. Now it's on track V2 and we have room to insert our other clip here on V1. Now let's go to our other clip here. During the initial clap in the beginning, there is no audio. So if I play it through, this is me getting ready. This is me turning on my mic. You see how there's no clap for the audio? However, you do see my hands coming together. And you literally have a visual reference because this is from the camera and this is from the screen recording. I made sure to record my own face first before I flipped over to recording my desktop. So I can literally go to this peak right here, this audio spike. So I can put my playhead there, go to right where, oh, and the scrubbing, I'm going to turn that off. That sounds awful. So I'm just going to go to edit, preferences, going to go to audio, and I'm going to just turn off play audio while scrubbing. That way your earbuds are not assaulted by the scrubbing of this audio. So now that it's silent. So I'm going to go to right where my hands come together, frame by frame, turn audio time units off for now so that I can go frame by frame. Hello. Right there, right when my hands come together. So that's the frame that I'm going to match with this because the audio is different, right? The audio that I was recording here was from the computer, not from my mic. I'm just going to line it up perfectly right there. So obviously we know that this frame lines up with this frame, even though this one is 23.976 and this one is 30, we still are going to line it up right there. So for the timeline version, I'm going to put a marker down. So I'm just going to press M and that puts a marker on our timeline. And then for this, for the clip version, because I'm about to drag the clip in, I'm just going to set an in point for it. So I'm just going to click the I button on my keyboard here, I, and that's going to highlight everything from that line where we were just at forward. So now only that portion of the clip is selected. And I'm just going to drag the clip. It's already labeled mango onto my timeline. Whoops, check that out. So if I drag it in, it goes on to V1 and A1 automatically, right? But I don't want it to. I want it to go into V1, and I also want it to go into A3. So I want it to sort of be the camera, then the screen recording, then the nice audio from my mic, and then the screen recording audio. So that has to do with the source patching and track targeting over here. So we have A1 selected, and that's why it's coming into A1. But if we have A3 selected, it's going to be coming into A3. And we're bringing it in right there at the marker. So even if I just extend it forward a little bit, so now we have, the rest of the clip forward. Check this out. If I turn off the visibility of the top layer, it should almost look exactly the same. Very close. Let's actually scooch it a little tiny bit over. This one, I'm going to press Alt, scooch it to the right. Oh, scooch it to the left too. There we go. So there we go. I'm toggling the visibility, and it is the same thing. So that is our sync point. We have synced it. And now you can see very clearly what's happening with the audio. So we have our green, which is the audio from me talking. And then we have our orange, which is the audio from the computer. And it goes back and forth. So usually, I'll watch through a little bit of the reaction of the video, and then I'll react to it. I'll talk for a little while, and then I'll watch a little bit more of the reaction, and then I'll react to it. So it goes back and forth, which is great because usually, if you are recording this all in one audio track, then that's fine, right? But what happens in areas such as this, for example, where there is that overlay, where I'm talking throughout, but the video is also playing? This is where having them on separate tracks is really going to come in handy, because I can start ducking and dipping and doing all sorts of fun stuff with the audio. So now that we have our assembly here, which is just something that I've done to sync up the sound with the video, I'm going to save this, what's going on here, because I don't want to, what if I start cutting this up and then it unsyncs, or I can't get back to this? Anytime I make any sort of major significant change, I'm going to try to make a new sequence out of it. So instead of here being on the reaction assembly, I'm going to go to where I have it here in sequences. It says O1 reaction assembly. Going to select that sequence and then hold down Command or Control, depending on what keyboard you're on, and then just drag down, and that actually duplicates the sequence. So let's do that again. I'm going to select the sequence, going to hold down Command or Control, and then just drag it down, duplicating it. And I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to say O2 reaction cut. So now this sequence is the one that I'm going to be cutting on. So double click, and there it is. It opens up. And because I have my reaction stuff up here and my what I'm reacting to down here, I'm going to make it go up into the top right corner for now as I'm editing it, because I want to see both at the same time. And then afterwards, I can fix it. I can put myself in different places and all that. But for now, because I want to see both of them, see both my desktop and myself, I'm going to pop myself in this top right corner. So with the clip selected, I'm going to go to Effect Controls and change my scale. So right now it's at 50, but I'm going to change it even smaller. And I'm going to put it in the top right corner up here. So let's listen through.
Take one. Hi, my name is Valentina Vee, and I'm a director and cinematographer here in Los Angeles, and I thought it would be super fun to react to an old video that I made for Prince EA because it's gotten over 500 million views. So many people have seen it, and I feel like there's a lot of stories to tell on the back end. So I have it pulled up on YouTube over here, and let's get going.
So I'm going to place a cut there, and I'm going to cut across all 4 of these tracks. I can go to the razor tool, and I can go like this and all that, and then delete it. But instead of doing all that, I'm just going to say Command K. If I do Command K, it's going to cut through all of the tracks that are track targeted. So V1, A1, A2, A3. So cut through all these tracks. It did not cut through the V2 track because it wasn't track targeted. So the way to cut through it is either you select the track targeting, right? So if you select that, now Command K will cut through it, or you do Shift Command K, and Shift Command K doesn't honor the track targeting. So if you do Shift Command K, it cuts through everything. But I like having one hand on my mouse and having one hand on the keyboard. So I like just doing the Command K. So I'll make sure that it's track targeted. I'm going to delete. Actually, I'm not going to delete that. I'm going to just delete this audio because I did turn on my audio for a second and it had that echo. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to put my playhead right where the beginning of my audio starts. And you can tell, like, I don't even have to go there or listen to it because I can visually see it because I have my waveforms up. So I can just tell there. I'm going to cut Command K. I'll make sure. There we go. And then delete that, right click, and then ripple delete. Or I can use my shortcut, which is Command D. So that's the first clip. And the first clip, obviously, I'm just addressing the viewer directly. So I can go ahead and, redo the position and redo the scale of it by using that set to frame size shortcut. So now it's a full size image for just the beginning.
Hi, my name is Valentina Vee, and I'm a director.
Okay, now let's skip this section because I said it again, but it was worse. I did a second take and it was longer. So I'm going to put my playhead right at the beginning of where the actual video starts playing. And I can tell where the video starts playing because it's right here. Super obvious, right? So I'm going to just put my playhead right where the video starts playing there, and then press the Q button. And the Q button will insert a cut at my playhead and delete everything before it.
Marriage expert John Gottman can sit with newly...
That was weird. There was like a little extra... No, I think it was fine.
Marriage expert John Gottman can sit with newly engaged couples for 15 minutes or less.
So that lighting that's coming in from the left, we tried to make it look like streaky sort of daylight, but it's actually completely fake.
So you can see already I'm going to need to move myself somewhere else on the screen because I'm talking about the lighting that's coming in from the left. So not only am I obscuring what I'm talking about, but I also want to do some sort of visual call out, some sort of like visual highlight to show what I'm talking about. But for now, because I'm doing an assembly cut, I'm not worried about it. I'm just cutting for content. And I'm also going to use the JKL keys to do this even faster, specifically the L key, because the L is the fast forward key. So you're going to hear it happening really, really fast.
There is a window there, but it really wasn't playing in our scene too much, so that's fake. We also had a production designer put all of these flowers everywhere to kind of like zhuzh up the church because it was sort of a janky looking church in general.
So I'm going to cut out the part about zhuzhing up the janky church. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of that section.
I had a production.
Oh, also, you notice that every time I move my playhead around, it's selecting the top clip. right? And so if I want to insert a cut with my Command K shortcut, because the top clip is selected, it's only cutting what is selected. And I don't want that, right? So in order to override that, I'm going to go over here to sequence and I'm going to deselect selection follows playhead. That way, whenever I move my playhead, the top clip isn't selected.
Tried to make it look like streaky sort of daylight, but it's actually completely fake. There is a window there, but it really wasn't playing in our scene too much, so that's fake. We also had a production designer.
So I'm going to cut out we also had production designer. Command K.
We also had a production designer put all of these flowers everywhere to kind of like zhuzh up the church, because it was sort of a janky looking church in general. So we wanted to like give it a little bit more of that wedding vibe. And this arch.
And then I'm going to bring back and this arch. It also starts with the word and. So because I was listing things like this and this and this, I can cut out the middle thing and it will still flow well. So I'm going to press Q again. And listen to that flow.
Completely fake. There is a window there, but it really wasn't playing in our scene too much, so that's fake. And this arch, which has a bunch of lights and fake.
So let's just say that I have gone through all of it and I have inserted all of these cuts, which I actually have. So we can actually go to that version and it's right here. So I've inserted the cuts. Let me get rid of this audio here and punch this up just so that it looks more like what you are currently familiar with. There we go. And I actually don't need 2 tracks of this. So I'm just going to delete one of these tracks and then punch it up here. So there we go. We have our cut happening here. Now we can go and start messing around with the sizes. And again, like I like having a preset. So I like having some presets that I can use in order to not have to every single time move things around. And that's how I pop into the corners. So I'm going to show you how I do the picture-in-picture, PIP, into the corners, PIP, BRB. So the intro again is going to be just straight on.
It was me. Haha. All right, let's play.
Marriage expert John Gobb.
So obviously for this one, right, I want it in the corner. So let's actually make all of these little presets. So this one, I'm going to scale it down and move it to the right, move it up. So I'm using the motion controls over here and I'm hovering over the position and scale controls. And I'm just moving myself to the corner. Okay, there we go. There are some issues here though, because I need to essentially crop myself. A, I need to crop myself. And B, I want to almost like zoom in even more onto just my face so that you don't see the rest of my body, so that you see my expressions a little bit better. Kind of like what's happening right now on this live stream. What? Joshua Davis asks, what's the shortcut to move tracks up or down in the timeline? So that is, you hold down Alt and then you go up and down on your keyboard, the arrow keys. It's the same thing for if you want to slide them left and right. You also hold down Alt and you can slide them. Well, actually, you can just, yeah, because going left and right will move your playhead left and right, but holding down Alt will shift your actual clip left and right. So anyway, let's actually change this clip. So I'm going to go to the effects and I'm going to type in the word crop and I'm going to drop the crop effect. I can either drop it directly onto the clip itself, or I can drop it into my effects bin over here. Either way. So I'm going to just drop it in here and I'm going to crop the left side of it, crop the top is fine. Let's crop the right side of it. Let's crop the bottom. There we go. She's floating. And now let's reposition it a little bit. There we go.
Can sit with newly.
The other thing that I would like to point out, something that I like to do for reaction videos, maybe not everyone likes to do it, but I like to have my eye line looking at the video. So when I have the bottom left version, I will be looking this way. But then when I do the ones in the top right corner and the top in the bottom right corner, my eye line is going to be looking the other way. So I'm going to flip it. But for now, this is how I want my top left to look. So I'm going to select crop, holding down command. I'm also going to select motion. So these are the two controls that I want to save as a preset. I'm going to right click and go to save preset. And then here in the preset name, I'm going to say React top left, TL, React TL. And I'm going to say, okay. So now we have here in the presets, I have a lot of different presets, but one of the presets is called React TL. So let's create some more presets based on this same clip. So obviously top left, top right is the next one. And all I have to do, or bottom left, all I have to do is move it to the bottom here. And now it's bottom left. So I'm going to keep the motion and the crop controls selected, right click, save preset. I'm going to call it React bottom left. Cool. Now I'm going to add another effect into it. So I'm going to go in here and do flip. And it's going to be the horizontal flip effect. And I'm going to add that as another effect. Now I'm going to drag it to the right over here. Good. And I'm going to save that. So I'm going to select the motion control, the crop control, and the horizontal flip control by holding down command, right click, save preset. And I'm going to say React bottom right. Okay. And then obviously we're going to do a top right as well. I'm going to move that up right here, right click, save preset, React top right. And there we go. Maybe if we want to do this one too, we can do the basic one and do a preset. Just go to motion, right click, save preset, and then we just say React full. So now we have these presets right here. And the fun thing is if I just type the word React, because the presets, there's so many, I have so many presets. I have so many different types of effects in my effects window. But if I just type the word React, that's it. So these are my 5 right here. So I can go through, and as I'm inserting cuts and edits, I can just literally drag them on top of my footage.
Marriage expert John Gottman can sit with newly engaged couples for 15 minutes or less.
So that lighting that's coming in from the left,
So now I'm going to start just like sweetening this up a little bit. The first thing that I want to do is find a way to literally have things drawn on the screen. And lucky for me and you and everyone, I have made some free presets that are already available in the Adobe Stock Store that you can use. So if you go to Window and then pull up Essential Graphics, now you can create your own Essential Graphics as well, but if you want, you can use mine. So if you go to the Adobe Stock tab in the Browse section of Essential Graphics and just type my name in, Valentina Vee, you'll be able to see the ones that I created. And one of them is called Floating Shapes Title, and that's the one that I'm going to use. So I'm going to grab Floating Shapes Title, move it over here onto V3. It's going to take a sec to register, but you see that it says intro words and it has this circle, right? And it has different animation styles. So if I just toggle these off for a sec, and then let me show you what it looks like. So this is the third animation style. That's the default that it comes onto. There we go. It drops down, but I want to check the first animation style. Yeah, it's the one that kind of draws into a circle and bounces in. I like that. So that's the one I'm going to use. Let me just do some adjustments to this. I'm going to get rid of the words inside, which is going to turn it into, instead of an oval, it's going to turn it into a circle. But don't worry, I can always change the width of the shape or the height of the shape to however I want it. Let me change the line color to my bright yellow vibe. There we go. Let's change the stroke width a little bit. And there we go. So now, based on what I'm saying in here, I can use this little highlight to highlight areas on my screen.
Yes.
So that lighting that's coming in from the left.
So I'm going to start with putting that there, and then I can adjust it. So I can move it over that lighting that's coming in from the left. Let's make it a long shape. So let's do shape width like this. And then let's actually rotate it and then move it over like that. And then maybe we change the width a little bit, re-rotate it. There we go. So let's see what that looks like.
That's coming in from the left. We tried to make it look like.
And then I think that that's good. I'm going to cut it off there and maybe put a fade transition. So I'm just going to go into here and I'm going to say fade, look that up, and just use the, no, what do I want? I want dissolve, or what's it called? Cross dissolve. Yeah. So I'm going to type in dissolve. There's different dissolves. I'm just going to say cross dissolve it off the screen. So it doesn't just like, it pops on with a little bit of animation. And this way it comes off a little bit more subtly than just going away.
We tried to make it look like streaky sort of.
And now, you know, again, like this, just having something in the corner, not as exciting, right? So I can go ahead and select the mango clip. I can insert a cut here, and then I can punch in. So I can change the scale up. And I can even cut on mine here, and I can change myself up and make me a little bigger and put me here. So now it's just like way more dynamic, right?
That lighting that's coming in from the left, we tried to make it look like streaky sort of daylight, but it's actually completely fake. There is a window there, but it really wasn't playing in our scene too much, so that's fake. And this arch.
Okay, so now I'm talking about the arch. So I can insert a cut here. I can take the clip of me on top, and then let's do the React top left on it. There we go.
Which has a bunch of lights and fake flowers on it. I took it home after, and it was in the garage area for quite a while, to the point where I was like, does anyone need an arch? I don't know what to do with this arch.
A lot of times when I say something, like I am saying what I said, I say a quote, I want to emphasize that, right? I want to emphasize my voice. So let's put an audio effect on that.
To the point where I was like,
does anyone want an arch? I'm going to do a little cut here on the audio. Select that audio. Actually, select both the audio and video. Cut.
Does anyone need an arch? I don't know what to do with this arch.
Because I tend to be a little bit more soft-spoken. I tend to be a little bit, I mean, you know, because you've been listening to me for a while, right? It's sort of like, I'm not like this all the time. I'm not a YouTuber, actually. I'm a filmmaker. So when I want to emphasize something, I have to do it through editing and not like being really, really, really exciting all the time. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish in this case. So not only am I going to punch in on this, but I'm also going to add some effects. So I'm going to go to window. Let's pull up lumetri color. Let's make it, you know, a little bit less saturated, a little bit more exposed, a little bit higher contrast, just as a different vibe. We can also add creative filters to it. Maybe not black and white, but that looks like I'm proper sad. Good. And then let's see. For the audio effect, we'll go to window, essential sound, and we'll mark this as dialogue. And then we'll go ahead and add creative. So we'll add some reverb, large reflective room, church, sure, a lot. Let's see, repair, dynamics, EQ, background voice. Ooh, old radio. I like that. Let's turn the EQ on, old radio. Let's see what that sounds like.
To the point where I was like, does anyone need an arch? I don't know what to do with this arch. And
cool. That was pretty good. I feel like the levels overall could just go up for everything. So I'm going to select all, actually, I don't have to zoom out. I'm just going to select all of the clips that are green because that is what I need to select in order to highlight everything as dialogue, right? So I'm just going to right click, going to go to label, and then going to make sure to press Alt before I click on it. That way only the audio is selected. Right click, go to label, select label group, because right now it's Caribbean. If I select label group, all of the Caribbean clips will be selected, all of the green clips. Mark them all as dialogue. Again, make sure that they're all selected. Select label group, mark them all as dialogue. Hello. I did. Thank you. I did mark them all as dialogue. I don't know why the other ones aren't being marked as dialogue, but let me change this label real quick to violet or something. And then I'll select this label group, all of those, mark them as dialogue. I guess because I already marked it as dialogue. So I should have marked everything as dialogue first before messing with that one clip. But I was just like really excited to do some fun stuff. And then I'm going to up the level of it over here to up it by 5 decibels. And let's listen to that.
I took it home after.
No, I can go higher. Maybe 8. Maybe 8.
And it was in the garage area for quite a while.
That's good. That's a good level because I'm looking at here. It should be hitting around like -6, -12.
Which has a bunch of lights and fake flowers on it. I took it home after.
So this one too, I'm just going to add that 8 decibel, but it might need more because we added a bunch of effects to it. So let's listen, and not just listen, but let's look at this chart, this scale, and see if it does actually dip lower or not.
And it was in the garage area for quite a while, to the point where I was like, does anyone need an arch? I don't know what to do with this arch.
Yep, I definitely need to increase the levels here. So let's do 12.
Area for quite a while, to the point where I was like, does anyone need an arch? I don't know what to do with this arch. And nobody needed it, so I had to throw it away.
Cool story, bro.
I tried to put it on Craigslist. Didn't work.
The didn't work part could also be emphasized. So I can cut, and I can cut here, and then the didn't work, I can zoom in. And I don't even care that I'm zooming into 120% because it's just a reaction video.
List didn't work.
And predict.
And then back to the video. So I can just take the React top left, stick it on there, and we're back to it.
Tried to put it on Craigslist. Didn't work. Didn't work.
So the didn't work, I also want to emphasize that with sound as well. So I can, or talk with graphics as well. So I can go over here to the type tool and just literally type on my screen, didn't work, right? And cover my whole face. And that way it's, you want to punch up the comedy, you know, whatever, whether you call this comedy or not. This is just a demo. Okay. Don't come for me. Didn't work. Obviously, it doesn't look great right now, but we'll adjust it. So we'll go over to Essential Graphics. If you don't have Essential Graphics pulled up, you can just go to Window and then choose Essential Graphics from the drop-down menu. We'll go to essential graphics and then start working on what this is going to look like. Now, I know for a fact that I'm going to use yellow text because that was the highlight that I used. So I can either choose a yellow color here, or I can go and grab that exact hex value from earlier. So if I select this shape line color, hex values here, Command C for copy. Let's go over here. Didn't work. Let's go to the fill and Command V for paste. I mean, it's pretty close. I did a pretty good job. Look how close that was to the one I estimated. Wow. It's almost like I do this for a living. Wild. Okay. So there it is. Let's get like a chonky font going. Well, I love Proxima Nova, but I feel like I use it too much because I love it so much. Acumen Pro Condensed. That's not bad. We'll go with that one. We'll go with that one. So again, I'll put it over my face, trim it to my face. Then I'm going to make it bigger, obviously, change the spacing size a little bit, move it over, make it center aligned, and then put it in the center. I'm going to give the word work a little bit more spacing between the letters. There we go. Great. And then the whole thing, I'm going to add a little stroke. Increase the size. There we go. So didn't work. I'm going to start the actual lettering right when I say the word didn't work. And then the work is going to be a separate one. So I'm going to insert a cut so that I split this graphic into two, essentially. So I'm going to just select it, do Command K. And then the first one, if I delete the word work, the didn't stays there. So it looks like didn't work.
And predict.
There we go. And obviously I would probably also punch that up with some effects, like some sort of like effect. I just don't have any sound effects on my hard drive right now. Maybe actually somebody gave me a really good idea to use the audio from the color bars. That's not a bad idea. If you just want sort of like a blooper audio, you can use that. So if I go back to the project folder, right now I have footage, audio, sequences, and merge clips. Inside the audio bin, I'm going to create a sub bin. I'm going to create another bin. I'm going to say SFX, and then I'm going to select SFX, then go to new item, and I'm going to select bars and tone, because that is a tone that comes with Premiere Pro. I'm going to select OK, and there they are, bars and tone. Steady tones, you can change the tone frequency and amplitude, but I'm just going to go with the default and then drag it in. Get rid of the video part of it by holding down Alt and deleting it. And then now I just have this clear tone, which I can use twice. So I can just trim it real quick to just one frame, then duplicate it by holding down Alt and dragging. So now I have these two little beeps. Didn't work. That's not bad. I can select them, go to Essential Sound, mark them as SFX, and turn the level down a little bit. Didn't work.
And predict, with 94% success, the likelihood of whether that couple will be happily married or miserable and divorced. What is his secret? How does he do it? He says the key to relationship success does not lie in candlelight dinners.
This entire part I shot in my house on like a fold-out table that I have with a...
So this is me. I mean, you already see what I'm talking about for quite a while before I start explaining it. And because nothing is going on in this portion of the video, it's just a still image, and I'm talking, I'm going to make this portion where it's just me talking full screen, right? Because then it's like more dynamic and you're not just looking at this little corner over here. So I'm going to insert a cut where I want that full screen to start.
Candlelight dinners.
This entire part I shot in my house on like a fold out table that I have.
And then that's a good place to insert that cut. So I'm going to say Command K.
With a like cream colored seamless backdrop, and it took a while to melt the candles down. I remember I was like sitting there like, how long do candles melt? And then I realized that if you take a fourth candle and you sort of hold it over the flame, then the drip from the fourth candle will drip onto each of those 3 candles, and it'll look even more like old.
And I'm going to insert a cut here.
Hold it over the
and right where I'm talking about holding it over the flame, that's when I'll pop back to this situation. So here, before I go back to full screen, it's going to look like this. Here, after I go back to full screen, it's going to look like this. But this middle portion right here, that is what I want to go back to my normal look. So I'm going to go to our effects and react full there, but the crop is still on it, so I'll delete that.
Shot in my house on like a fold out table that I have with a like cream colored seamless backdrop, and it took a while to melt the candles down. I remember I was like sitting there like,
and then again, I'm quoting myself. So I will use that same trope that I used before, the same audio effect, the same video color, because this is like a visual language that I'm creating for my videos. So every time I quote myself, I'll use that same visual language, that same visual and auditory language. So I'm going to do a cut here.
How long do candles melt? And then I realized
it's the how long do candles melt part.
Long do candles melt.
Right there, I'm going to insert a cut. So this is going to be the portion where I do my audio trick. And let me change the label of this to violet, because that tells me that it's going to be the same as this. So I'm going to go to the color here, Lumetri color, and it has a bunch of other presets, Lumetri color, all of these equalizers and everything. So for Lumetri color, I'm just going to save that preset to react quote. Okay. And you notice that I didn't save the motion as well. I only saved Lumetri color because maybe I could also use this color preset when I'm in the corner as well. So I don't want to override myself. I want to be able to stack it. So if I want to put that preset that has like the top left corner, and on top of that, I put the quote react preset, then it'll like compound instead of popping me back out. And the same thing for the audio. So I'm going to go to the audio of that and select everything here. So the volume, graphic equalizer. Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, there we go. Studio reverb, hard limiter. As you probably noticed, what happened when I visually adjusted the essential sound here by adding EQ that looks like old radio, by adding a reverb that looks like a church, by adding the clip volume to 12.2, all of these changes were actual effects that Premiere has built in, and they were applied into here, which is helpful because maybe you're someone who doesn't know how to use studio reverb or what bypass is, or how to do a custom setup on a hard limiter. You know, these are like more confusing terms than something that's going to tell you, oh, it sounds like an old radio, right? So that's why these are here. But now that they are here, I can make a preset out of them. So I'm going to save that preset, and I'm going to say react quote audio. There we go. So you can see it's a different type of preset. Now, this one is an audio preset compared to the react quote video preset. But now that I have both of those, I can go ahead and drop them onto this other quote clip. So for the video, I can go and select React Quote. And for the audio, I can select React Quote Audio. Drop that on. Let's listen.
Candles down. I remember I was like sitting there like, how long do candles melt? And then I realized that if you take,
it's cool. I think I'll also do that little punch in as well. And I can do maybe a little bit of movement because there's, I'm confused. How long do candles melt? So maybe I'll shake the screen about a little bit. So I will go to my position over here. I'll keyframe it by pressing the stopwatch, keyframe. I'll move it forward a little bit. I'll change the location on the screen, move myself forward, change the location on the screen again, move myself forward, again, change that location on the screen. And then I'll go ahead and take all these keyframes, select them, copy, paste them. So Command copy, Command V, paste. So the new keyframes are pasted. And then I'll mix them up and make them all random and paste some more on and mix those up and make those all random so that the screen shakes a little bit, but there we go. And it looks like this.
they're like, how long do candles melt?
And maybe a little less random. Let's see. This was aggressive right here.
Long do candles.
And then this stayed in the same spot for a while. So I'm going to delete one of them. I mean, you can go into After Effects and add like screen shake effects, but this is just a quick and dirty way to do it.
Sitting there like, how long do candles melt? And then
I'm also going to cut out that extra pause. Sitting there like, and there was a pause for a few frames too many. So I'm going to go put my playhead here, right where, and I'm going to cut out, put my playhead here, and I'm going to cut out this pause by pressing the letter W on my keyboard. So Q cuts everything from the playhead. Oh my gosh, this keeps changing sizes. Q cuts everything from the playhead to the previous clip, which I can do here. So I can put this in, I can press Q, and then it'll cut out that beginning. And then on this end, I can press W and it'll cut out that end. So it goes straight into the joke. Let's listen to that.
I remember I was like sitting there like, how long do candles melt? And then I realized that if you take
now a couple more things to see with this, because we cut out that pause, there's a little bit of a pop, not even a pop, it's just a little bit of an awkwardness that happens in this transition right here, in this audio transition. Let's listen to it a couple times so that you kind of see where that awkwardness is. I'm going to do a loop playback. So I'm going to select just this portion to play back again and again and again so that we hear it instead of having to put our playhead here, play through.
Like sitting there like, how?
I can put my playhead there, press I, put my playhead there, press O, select the loop playback tool over here. If you don't have the loop playback tool, it's hiding in your buttons. So if you press the plus, your loop playback tool is over here. Select loop playback, and now I can just like play that over and over again.
Wow.
Oh.
They're like, how? Sitting there like, wow. Sitting there like, wow. Sitting there like, wow.
Okay, so it definitely needs a little bit of a transition.
They're like, how?
Right here. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to go into that crossfade, constant power, transition, pop that on, make it shorter, like a couple frames, even shorter, probably just a couple frames. So it's smoother.
Sitting there like, how?
See that? It's almost natural. It's almost like that pause didn't exist at all. And then here at the end of it, let me clear the in and out points. Here at the end of it, I actually inserted this cut a little bit too early. So I'm still finishing that quote.
When do candles melt? And then I realized,
when do candles melt? So that T is right there. I see it visually. There's that ending T, and that should be purple. So instead of doing this, where I grab these move that over, then grab these and move that over. Sure that that's pretty quick.
And then I realized,
but I can do it even faster. So instead of doing all that, I just change my cursor to the N tool, and then I can move this entire cut. So if I have everything selected, I just move the entire cut. And that is the rolling edit tool. And then I press V and I change my cursor back to the selection. Candles melt.
And then I realized that if you take a fourth candle and you sort of hold it over the flame, then the drip from the fourth candle.
So maybe I punch in on the image so that, again, it's not as static. I always want things to be changing. I always want something to be happening, right? So on this one, I punch in. And maybe I even change the position a little bit. So it starts a little higher and then it ends a little lower. So it's a moving background instead of just a still image.
For the flame, then the drip from the fourth candle will drip onto each of those three candles, and it'll look even more like old and like it's been burning for a long time. And I still have this candelabra in my living room. It's still like mostly burned down.
It is not found
like that, but it's
so see how now I had pressed play on the video and the audio came through, right? But I don't want the audio to come through in that moment because it's a random bit of audio. It's like right here. And it's gross the way that it's currently going.
room. It's still like mostly burned down.
It is not found
like that.
So what I'm going to do is just mute that audio right here. So I'm going to insert a cut. I'm going to go to my C tool, my blade tool, my razor tool, insert a little cut around it and select just that portion and disable it. Easy enough. Right click, deselect, enable. And that's it. So now that's a little bit smoother.
Still have this candelabra in my living room. It's still like mostly burned down like that, but it still exists and I'm proud of it. Look how well I melted those candles. Yeah, look how well I burned those candles.
I don't need that end bit, right? I think I'm just going to end this with I'm proud of it.
And I'm proud of it. Look.
So right before the word look, I'm going to cut there, Command K, and then I'm going to go straight to where I play it again. So I'm going to say Q, and that's going to cut everything here out.
Trips to Paris or horse and carriage rides under moonlit skies.
This little vibe, look at that. Horse and carriage rides under moonlit skies. That's a pencil sharpener that I bought on Amazon.
Now, this whole bit about the pencil sharpener, I don't want it at all, right? Especially because it overlays on top of the end of the actual video portion of it where he says moonlit skies. Listen to this.
Rides under moonlit skies.
This little vibe.
And I say this little vibe. If I had recorded the audio together, that would be burned in, but it doesn't have to be. So let me put a cut right. Let's see, right there. I won't put a cut. I'll actually put a marker. I'll put a marker on my clip, and this marker will say darkness. So at this point in the clip, the horse is completely dark. So I'm going to press M to add a marker. I can actually double click on the marker. Hello, marker. Should be able to double click on it. There we go. And I'm going to say darkness and make it red. Okay. So at this point in the clip, that is where the darkness comes in. Then I'm going to match it because I played it again later. I'm going to match it with me playing it again later and make it look like my entire commentary about this being a pencil sharpener is gone. I'm going to go to where I'm playing it again. Okay, so here is the match. It's coming 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that was full darkness right here. So I'm going to press M again. So essentially, I'm going to cut out everything between the red marker and the green marker in order to make it more seamless. I'm going to place a cut here, go to this marker. I can go to, I believe it's Shift M Shift M means go to next marker. So it's more accurate than trying to like find where it is. Shift M, I'm going to place a cut here, or I could have just pressed W and gotten rid of everything in the middle. And that's what I'll do. I'll press W. So now those markers are lined up, and the video on the back end, it looks like it plays seamlessly.
Rides under moonlit skies.
I had the Eiffel Tower.
It is not
from
found
my
in
trip to
getting your
Paris.
partner a different gift every other week.
So in this case, I also talked about the Eiffel Tower, right? The Eiffel Tower that I had from my trip to Paris, which is fine to keep that audio there because it's a short bit of audio, but it sort of cuts in very harshly right here. So what I want to do is I want to use that slip tool that we used earlier to slip just the green audio to the left a little bit to give me a little bit of leeway into it. So I'm going to go to N, which is the rolling edit tool right here. Change this to N. And then I'm just going to move it over a little bit. So that cut starts a little bit before.
Rides under moonlit
I think I had
skies.
the Eiffel Tower
It is not
from my
found in
trip to Paris.
getting your partner a different gift every other week.
And now also, I want the audio from, I think I have that Eiffel Tower from my trip to Paris, this green audio. I want it to show through a little bit more strongly. I want it to present itself a little bit more strongly. And for that, I need to duck the audio from the screen recording lower. So this is what I'll do. First of all, I don't like having a cut here because we're going to be ducking things, right? So I'm going to move that cut the same way that I moved the previous one by going to the rolling edit tool, select N, and I'm just going to move that cut over so that I have a clean bit of audio to work with. And then I'm going to basically this volume line that is this white line in the middle of the clip. Here, I'll show it to you a little bit better here. There it is. This is the volume line, and it's pretty steady, right? What I want it to do in this particular instance is I want it to dip down to give this green audio a little bit more time to shine. So it's very easy to do. You just hold down Command and place a keyframe here, place another one where you want the dip to start, place another one where you want the dip to kind of start ending, and then another one where you want the regular volume to come back, and then just drag the line down in between the two dips. So there we go. I have ducked this audio underneath this audio. And hopefully it's so seamless that you can't tell.
To Paris or horse and carriage rides under moon.
I think I had the Eiffel.
That was too much. Let me bring it up.
Horse and carriage rides under moonlit
I think
skies.
I had the Eiffel Tower from my trip to Paris.
Getting your partner a different gift every other week, and it is not found during long walks on the beach.
Now these shots on the beach we kind of had to steal. So while we were using,
So some more stuff that I wanted to show you happens around here.
background. So essentially we had to do the shot 3 times. We had to do the shot with them without Prince EA in the background and then rack focus. We had to do the shot as a plate with no one in there and use that rack focus just in case. And then we had to do a shot with just Prince EA in there. And if you look,
so here I am describing 3 different techniques, or the 3 different types of shots that I had to do to pull off this special effect. And again, I'm looking for, when I'm editing a reaction video, I'm looking for anything that could spice it up, right? So in this case, I want to put a listicle on the screen so that people can refer to it as graphical information. So that section, I'm going to cut out. I'm not cut out. I'm just going to like isolate that section for a sec and work on that. So let's
foreground to the background. So essentially we had to do,
that's where it starts.
so essentially, so
right here where I say so. I'm going to insert a cut here, Command K.
So essentially we had to do the shot 3 times. We had to do the shot.
So that's the first one. I'm going to press M to insert a marker.
With them without Prince EA in the background, and then rack focus. We had to do the shot as
the second one's here.
a plate with no one in there and use that rack focus just in case. And then we had to do a shot with just Prince EA.
So these are the 3, 1, 2, 3. I've basically marked it so that I know when that listicle is going to come up.
In there. And if you look really careful,
and if you look, that's where we cut back to this.
If you look
and cut. So basically I've isolated this section here as like a special section for me to work on. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself, instead of the corner, I'm going to put myself right here. I'm going to adjust my crop a little bit so I don't cover them up at all. So first of all, I'm going to change my scale to this. Then I'm going to make sure that, oh, that's not it. The bottom one is 0. So I'm like a tall, skinny, I'm in a tall, skinny box. There we go. Make myself a little smaller. Crop in the left a little bit more. This is a specialty shot right here. And then I'm going to put a box on the right. And I'm going to do it much in the same way that I did the other text. So I'm actually going to go ahead and grab the other text. It was over here, right? No, it was over here. The didn't work text. So I'm just going to copy it. Command copy, Command C. Then I'm going to move over to here, the first marker, Shift M to jump to that marker. And then I'm going to paste it. But if I paste it, Command V, if I paste it right now, it's going to go on the first line. So Command V, it's going to override. Why? Well, because of our source patching. So I'm going to put it here instead on V3. Oop. There we go. It's on V3. And then I'm just going to adjust it. So the words that I'm saying are
with them without Prince EA in the background.
Actors without Prince EA in the background is what it's going to say. So double click. I'm going to say actors without, make it smaller. Let's go to Essential Graphics. Make it smaller. I'm going to right justify it. Actors without Prince EA. And make it a little chunkier. Now, I'm showing this to you in a way that like maybe, okay, how do I say this? What you should do, right, when you are doing this is go through it all in sort of layers. So you're going to create your full cut. Then you are going to do all of the little, locations on the screen, top left, top right, everything. That's going to be another sequence. Then you're going to add on to that graphics. Then you're going to go into the sound of it. For the purposes of the demonstration, I'm doing it all at once. But so actors without Prince EA. And then I'm going to just duplicate it by going to Alt, dragging up. Then the second one, I'm going to move down and I'm going to rename just the plate. And then move it over to there. You get it, right? Just the plate. And then the other one, I'm going to say, I'm going to move it down and I'm going to say just Prince EA. And that is the last thing that I wanted to show you.
3 times. We had to do the shot with them without Prince EA in the background. And then rack focus. We had to do the shot as a plate with no one in there and use that rack focus just in case. And then we had to do a shot with just Prince EA in there. And if you look really carefully.
And there you go. Those are some tips on how to edit a reaction video, whether you are reacting to your own video, to someone else's video. I hope that you learned some tips for how to make it dynamic. and engaging. Until next time, you can follow me on social media, Valentina Vee on Twitter, Valentina.Vee on Instagram. I'll see you later. Bye, everybody.